Hi everyone, welcome to the Hall Wines Happy Hour. My name is Kathryn Hall. So glad you are joined today because I am really excited about our special guest. My guest is Eric McCormack, who is a producer and an actor and who has had so many wonderful roles on stage and on screen, but we all know him the best as Will Truman from Will and Grace. So I am going to try to get him on right now. I'm looking for you, Will. But while I find him, let me just say, if you are in the in the wine country area and planning on visiting Napa Valley, this is absolutely the time to do it. The weather is fabulous. Eric, I see you. I just need to sort of get you on, and I got you. Here we go. And I think you're going to be able to join here. So anyway, come on up. Our tasting rooms are open. It's really wonderful. And yes,
hey, hello.
How are you?
I feel seen. I'm good.
I do see you, and I'm so glad you're here. Okay, first on the agenda
Me
is...
too, because
I mean, why not? Why not? And it's time.
How do I get that?
Well, I'm going to just pass it right to you. So we're going to have, this is a night. Here we go. Are you ready? Do you see it?
All right. Yeah, that's weird.
Okay. Yeah.
It's really weird.
I know, but it's a trick, and you got it.
You know what's nice, Kathryn, is that finally after a year, I have a reason to drink at 4 o'clock.
That's right.
So,
yeah.
I don't no excuses.
No. See,
this is beautiful.
Thank you. I'm so glad. I'm saying, okay, well, we need to start with the cheers. I'll tell you what, for me, it's not unusual at 4 o'clock, but what is unusual, we don't blend every day, and when I start blending at 9 in the morning, that's unusual. So
True. I rarely start at 9. Cheers, Kathryn. Lovely to see you.
Lovely to see you. So now, are you joining from? You're in California, Southern California, right?
Oh, that's grand. Yes, I mean our home here in Los Angeles. We split our time between LA and Vancouver because my wife and I are both Canadian,
right.
And we spent a lot of the winter we spent up there. Another great BC, another great wine center. That whole winery area up in northern, I guess northeastern BC. Beautiful wines from there too.
There really are some beautiful wines. I've had some wonderful Pinot Noirs in particular from that area.
From the open up, yeah.
More of the red guy, but I just nothing like Vancouver with Stanley Park, and I mean, it's so gorgeous.
Agreed. Particularly in the summer. The winter was a little rainier. Let's put it that way.
Yeah.
Well,
no, I have to tell you that that stereotype about Canadians and how they are Canadians are just always so gracious and so kind. And I have to say that that's really been my experience.
It's true. We're very to your face. We are always sweet and polite. Always.
Yeah. I just last time I was in Canada I was working. It was a wine trip, and before I got out of the airport, there were I counted it 4 times. Someone said, "I'm sorry" to me.
It's true. It's true. What they meant was I'm sorry that you have to leave.
Oh yeah,
it's a terrible place to leave. But no, it is true. The sorry thing. There are some cliches that I don't think are true. I don't know anybody that says "a" all the time. But the sorry thing, I'm even trying to I'm actively changing how I say it because we say sorry, and as an actor, I've had to get rid of that and say sorry, like Americans do.
Well, it's great. And I'm so glad. So you have, as I said when I was introducing you, I mean, you've had so many wonderful roles, but I just have to talk about Will Truman and just all the joy. And I loved you the first 8 years, and then when you came back on, it was just such a treat. But I heard that what really brought you guys back together was a political video you did.
Yeah, I mean, we had an amazing 8-year run, and we had a very definite finale, and we said goodbye, and 11 years went by. We thought if we see each other again, it'll be at dinner, And then the craziest thing, it turned out that the guy that created the show, Max Muchnick, had sent, at the end of the first run, he'd sent the entire set in its entirety to Emerson College, where he went to school. And it's been sitting like in the library for 12 years for people to see. And they were going to get rid of it. And they said, you want your set back? And that was just as the election was starting to happen in sort of May, June of 2016. And he thought, what I need is these characters to say all the things I want to say. So he flew it back on his own dime. And we did the secret 10-minute video back in character. Luckily, everybody pretty much looked the same. And we dropped it on the internet. Nobody knew, not even NBC knew we were doing this. And it was a big hit. And then, a few months later, the show was back on the air. So it was all about a moment in political time, really. I love that. And I have to say too, it was such a joy to me. You guys really haven't changed. You probably have changed beneath the surface, but on the surface, you look so much like you did years ago. That was kind of the kick. I think if somebody had come up with the idea, because that was sort of the beginning of all of these reboots. It had only been done once or twice at that time, and I think if we'd all looked older and the idea had said, well, what about if they all had kids? It wouldn't have been the same show. The fun of it was bringing it back and having it look exactly the same as it did, which was a real trip for all of us.
There must have been some apprehension, though. I'm thinking if, you have this like top of the charts, Emmy Award winning, so many nominations. I don't know if you got Golden Globes, but I can't remember. But yeah, I know you were nominated many, many times. So you're at the top. Wasn't there maybe some apprehension, like, well, what if it's not quite as good? We know we look good.
Right.
But...
Well, two answers to that question. First, we hold the record. Most Golden Globe nominations, no wins. Look it up. Will and Grace, we will always, I think we have 31 nominations over all those years, never won. And as it turns out this week, maybe we didn't want to anyway, from what's going on at the Globe. But no, so the apprehension it's a good question. And if we hadn't done that video, we probably wouldn't have done the series, because we all would have, as you said, we all would have said, there's no way, it'll never be as good. Why are we doing this? Is it just about the money? Whose idea was this? But because it happened in such an organic way, we had as Sean called it, a proof of concept. We could see that this was going to work again. And that was all that was, I think that was always part of Max's master plan. Besides just making a political statement, it was also,
Yeah. So good. I don't know if you're looking at these comments again, but you got so many of your fans who are watching this who are saying they're just so happy you came back, and it's just so wonderful, and thank you for doing it. And my gosh, you've got Denmark here too, and a lot of people who are sending you love.
That is awesome. Well, I just saw I also did a series. This was the most amazing thing. I had started a series for Netflix before the same year as the Will and Grace reboot happened, and it's called Travelers, 3 seasons on Netflix, and it has a big following too. And I'm seeing some of these comments, they're calling me by my traveler name, which was 3468.
This is great.
I love that. El Salvador, amazing.
Yeah. So do you find that when you're on these shows that obviously on Will and Grace, you guys have just this sort of family feeling about each other. Yeah. So, is it the same? Was it the same on Travelers?
It really was. It's not always the same. Believe me, I've been on 6 series that went for, for more than a year. And it's not always the same. But the family feel is something that happens overall. It's not just a cast. It's your crew. It's your designers. It's the office staff. And, Will and Grace, we had some guys on camera that were on the pilot, and they were there at the very end 20 years later. We had all of our designers from the original show. Our director, Jim Burrows, directed every single episode from '98 to last year. So there's definitely a family feel there. Travelers, we only did 3 seasons, but we shot it in Vancouver, all Canadian actors, and it was a very tight family feel. So it's something I work towards. I don't ever think of a series as a job. It's one thing to go into a film. A film has a beginning, middle, and end, but a series might go on a long time, and it's so important from the beginning to create a family. And now I can kind of be the dad because I'm elderly.
No, except, sorry about that. You're not. But anyway, but I get it. So, I mean, were you socially in touch in this sort of interim that you weren't shooting the series on Will and Grace? Did you,
Not really. I'd always have dinner with Deborah if I was in New York, or I would see Sean occasionally. But really, the fun thing about it was that we were never a big social group. We exist as this incredible foursome on what was Stage 17 back in the day. And as soon as we walk in those doors, we are those people, and we are laughing our ass off. But we hadn't really spent a lot of time socially. We were all in different circles. So to know that you can come back and have that feeling again was pretty great.
Yeah, I think it also, we just must talk about, I think, just the impact of what Will and Grace was, and where you had this opportunity to sort of educate or share an attitude.
It was always something I wouldn't say we took it for granted. We didn't even think about it. We were just doing a comedy show, and as time went by, we started to feel, well, a strange thing happened really. In the course of the 8 seasons, we always had these incredible guest stars, and I think people just sort of took it for granted. Oh, there's Will and Grace, and they got this, Elton John this week or whatever. And so we went away, and it was in our going away that people sort of rediscovered the show in syndication, as so often happens. And also, a new generation started watching it, a generation that needed help coming out to their parents. They needed a reason, a situation that felt safe. And to suddenly realize that your parents were watching Will and Grace all the time, it's not so hard to come out and say, I'm gay, as it was. The show had a kind of opening door effect that we are so grateful for. Didn't even see it coming, really, to the degree it did.
So in a sense, do you have that on, you have been on, but I know it's not been a big part of your career, but Atypical? So,
oh yeah, no, I somebody in your team mentioned Atypical. It was, I just finished Travelers. I had one more season to go, as it turns out, of the reboot of Will and Grace, and I'd grown a beard, and it was very gray, but I loved it. And I said to my agents, they said, I got to shave this when I'm Will again. This has to be on television. This is a good beard. We have to find something. And they came back a week later and said, how about a few episodes of Atypical? I'm like, I'm in. So I loved the show, and I love the character. I like playing teachers. I like playing professors. I think it goes back to, do you remember a show when we were kids called The Paper Chase? It was about Harvard Law School.
Oh, totally.
And it was John Houseman.
Totally.
John Houseman played one of those imposing law professors. And I just loved that. And so I did a show called Perception, where I was playing a neuroscience professor, and I got to do these great lectures. And so Shine Rock on Atypical was a little of that, just a little sort of crazy professor guy that I loved.
Oh, I love it too. Okay, let's see. Let's take one more question before we go on, because I want to maybe, oh my gosh, Egypt. You've got fans from Egypt on here too. This
wow,
is so
Italy
cool.
and Sheehan. Hello, world.
Yay, hello.
Good.
Well, I'll just sort of comment on this. I mean, you bring someone, this is Burns, anyway, 87, saying you bring such passion to the stage and screen, and you're so authentic. And I think that's sort of your reputation in your personal life as well. You really are authentic. And
Well, thank you. A lot people get into acting in different ways and different reasons, different times in their life. I was in my first play in first grade, and I never stopped. So this is something this is all I do. This is what I got, and I'm grateful. I'm so grateful for it. So, to your point about families, I mean, every show is a new family that I'm grateful to be on. I love, and also it's been, when we realized what Will and Grace could be in terms of sending a message and being part of something, we all got very involved in fundraising. Certainly for AIDS-related things. Project Angel Food is a big one here that my wife and I are involved with, which started serving meals to people living with AIDS, HIV, almost 30 years ago. And then you start to branch out and realize that you can use all of this sort of TV celebrity for good, and that's been a huge, big piece of it.
it really is. You do. You have such power by virtue of your celebrity, and it's just so heartwarming to see you sort of
Thank you.
use that. Well, let's talk about this wine that we're sipping.
Yes, I'm already.
Oh my gosh!
Gonna be a good day.
I gave you a bottle, so you can pour yourself a little.
Well,
more.
I'll say this. I'll start with this. As I told you before, I'm more of a Chard guy. I'm loving this. This has, to me, this is the Sauvignon Blanc. And what year is this? Is this 2 years ago?
Yeah. Well, it's our current release.
Right.
It's 18.
It's an 18. And this, to me, has more, it still has the sharpness and sort of the grapefruit of a Sauvignon Blanc, but it seems to have more body for me. I find it much more drinkable than a lot of sharp Sauvignon.
Oh my goodness. So, head of the class, Mr. McCormack, I just want to say, so I'm so glad you mentioned the body, because actually I'm very proud about that. What we've done with this Sauvignon Blanc is a couple of years ago, we started stirring it on the leaves. It's a process of sort of keeping the grape juice in contact with with the yeast, and it allows, as the wine is being made, it gives you more body. And so often a Sauvignon Blanc is going to have these nice aromatics of grapefruit, as you say, but then it's going to be, for me, they're often very weak on the palate, on the body. And so one way of addressing that is that you put some other wine varietals in it, maybe a Semillon or something, which is often done in France. But when you can put it on the leaves, then you don't really mess with the flavors of Sauvignon Blanc, but you can get the body. So I'm so glad you saw that.
Well, you shouldn't have told me your secrets, because now I'm going to make my own Sauvignon Blanc. I might not even wait till tomorrow. I might just start right now.
Yeah. You know what? Next time when you're up for BottleRock, then you can come on over. We'll put you on to work there, actually.
Let's talk about BottleRock for a second. For people in the world that don't know, my wife and I have been going there for years. It's this great music festival that happens right in Napa. And I guess it's been 8 years, maybe. We've been going for 5. Of course, it got like all the festivals postponed, but I think it's going to happen this fall. But just some amazing, just a great lineup of artists every year, and so much wine. You're literally walking on grapes from one stage to another stage. It's pretty great.
It is. It's so much fun. I mean, we love it up in the valley, and it just brings so much life. I mean, there's just so much energy at BottleRock. So it's great. And then there's a culinary stage. So there's a culinary aspect to it too, which actually you have been a part of in the past.
I did. So the last year we were there, right at the center, there's these 3 or 4 music stages, and you can have like some major act happening on this one and a small act happening over here. It's acoustically so great. But in the center of it all is this little culinary stage where famous chefs come and cook. And I was part of a competition with some chefs. But then right afterwards, and this is my favorite thing, Alice Cooper came on the stage. And I was a huge Alice Cooper fan as a kid. And he's famous for, this actually happened in my hometown in Toronto, just before the band became big. It was 1970. They got up on stage, and the word that got out there in the world was that he'd bitten the head off of a chicken. This was not true. This never happened. But they loved it. They loved the publicity of it. But what really happened is that somebody, because it was a kind of like a county fair, somebody threw a chicken onto the stage, and Alice, thinking that chickens fly, threw it in the air, and it landed in the audience, was torn apart. So he, on this culinary stage last year, or 2 years ago, I guess, he tried to set the record for throwing out the most rubber chickens from a stage into an audience. And you know what? We didn't win the record. Somebody had thrown more. I don't know. He threw out hundreds and hundreds of chickens, and someone else had that record. Why? I don't know. I don't know.
Yeah, why?
Why would you have that record?
That is some crazy stuff.
Alice Cooper came in second.
Well, okay. So we have a game called Sip or Spill that you have very kindly agreed to play with me.
Okay.
And it goes like this. I am going to ask you a few questions, and you can choose to answer them, or if you don't choose to answer, you have to take a sip of wine, which, by the way, I hope is not going to be too rough a responsibility.
You may not get a word out of me.
Yeah, right. So you can either spill the beans, take a sip. Okay. Let me ask you some of these questions because I think they're fun. All right. Who is your favorite character on Will and Grace?
Will Truman.
Aha. Okay. Well then,
You know.
that was good. Let me try it again.
All right.
Who was your favorite guest star on Will and Grace?
See, I'm dying to drink, but I love answering these questions. It's a toss up. I'm going to say between Gene Wilder, Elton John, and Sidney Pollack, who played my dad. It's a three-way tie.
You know that Sidney Pollack I've actually heard you talk about him before. I mean, that was really a powerful.
That was sort of the beginning of it. He was really in many ways the first sort of name we had on, and it was a strange name. It wasn't like a comedian. He's like a fantastic director and actor. But one of the guys that created the show had worked as an assistant to him years earlier, so it was kind of a favor. But some of the episodes we ended up doing with Sidney, and he only did about 8 or maybe 8, were some of the best stuff we ever did.
Yeah, it's beautiful. Okay, here we go. Another one. What is one role that you auditioned for that you still wish you got? Okay.
I'm going to drink.
Okay. Take a drink. That's good.
Do I still have to answer?
No, you don't. No, you don't. Because I'm going to come back with you again.
Okay.
Yeah. Tell us your most embarrassing red carpet story.
Ooh, an embarrassing red carpet story.
Yeah, it better be embarrassing, Eric. I mean, what can I say?
It's okay. This is okay. It wasn't exactly on the red carpet, but it was just inside. It was one of the first awards. I think it was the People's Choice Awards. Will and Grace was newly on the air, and I was talking to Anthony Edwards from ER, and chatting with him. And I was so excited to meet him. And there was a tap on my shoulder, and I was like, "Yeah, one sec." And I'm talking, and there's another tap, and I'm like, "I'm sorry, I felt like I'm talking to Anthony Edwards." And finally, I turned around, and it was Julia Roberts, and she said, "I can't believe you blew me off. I've met her before." She just wanted to say that she was a fan of the show, but I was like, I can't. but there's just too much. There's too many. It was embarrassing.
That's so good. I love it. That's cool. Okay. What is one thing that you would change about Will Truman and why?
Well, I think I would change. He only stayed on the air for 11 seasons. I would change that. I think I would make it 15. And I think the reasons are obvious.
They are.
It was fun.
And we all would agree with you on that. Okay, I have una mas.
Okay.
What is your go-to karaoke song?
Oh, man. Here's the thing. As anyone that knows me well, as my sister Michelle is here and she just rolled her eyes. My go-to karaoke song changes constantly because I never want to bore anybody, but we karaoke a lot.
Really?
But I would say, yeah, like constantly. We have it in the house. We've been karaokeing for 20 years. Karaoke is my go-to anything, virtually anytime. But if I had a go-to right now, lately I've been doing I Believe from the Book of Mormon.
Oh, nice. So, and you dance too. Okay.
I don't.
Yeah.
I don't know if I dance. We don't do a whole lot of dancing, but
Right. Okay. That's great. By the way, okay, I'm going to take one more question here from our group, and I'm sort of scrolling through here. Let's see what we've got. So, in the second launch, this is a long question. I'm just going to read it to you while I'm reading it because it looks like it's very interesting. In the second launch, the producers were a little more liberal with the language and censored less. Did that affect how you handled your character?
it's an interesting question. Well, obviously years have passed and there are things that you could say and insinuate on network television that you couldn't in '98. But no, it didn't. I think it was crucial. I think if we hadn't been able to grow with the times, the show would have seemed archaic and a little quaint. I think the fact that we could get away with anything that we could helped a lot. I always loved. I mean, it was always still a network. We couldn't get away with what Sex and the City did on HBO. So I always loved our double entendres. They sometimes were just blatant. I always quote the one. This is from our first season, I think, but I was voting for a mayoral candidate just because he was gay, and Grace was like, you don't know anything about this guy. I mean, what are his positions? And I said, I don't know. I think he's a top. And that, I don't even think the censors at NBC at the time knew what that joke was, but we thought we were getting away with murder. It was pretty good.
It was also good. Just I think the chemistry among you all was, it's timeless. It was, it is, it's timeless. But you so adapted to the change and the settings and at the White House. And it's all so good.
Thank you.
So, Eric, I need to let you go. You've been so gracious with your time. Any last thoughts for all of your fans? And I just have to say, I totally agree with everybody every fourth one has been how great you look. I'm sorry that's superficial, but it's true.
Thank you, bro.
Have to say it. But any last comments for your fans who are watching?
Oh, well, just that I know I've only done one of these before you. And that was Jason Alexander from Seinfeld. We did a thing because we were raising money together. But these are fun. I think I'm going to save the fans. Be prepared. I'm going to just start Instagramming live for no reason. Oh, my assistant says I can't do that. Yes, I have to. I'm like, no, that's too much work. No, it's fun. And so I think every day I'm just going to start drinking at 4 and Instagramming live. So just look at it.
That sounds wonderful.
I'm coming your way. And thank you for the wine. Thank you so much, Kathryn.
My goodness, thank you so much for for being here and sharing more of your joy. It's just been great.
Cheers,
Eric.
Cheers, everybody. Be safe.
Well, what fun is that? So everybody, we've got a lot more wonderful shows coming up. Keep abreast of who's coming on and when, but every week we're here. I'll be back next week. We've got, follow us at Hall Wines or on Instagram or on Facebook and see what's coming up. What a joy today to be able to share this time with Eric McCormack. You just, he is pure joy wrapped into one person. And so thank you to you, Eric, again in absentia, to you all. And thank you everyone else for joining us today. I will see you again very soon. And in the meantime, stay healthy and sip up.